Apparently the governor's executive order as of yesterday made them all go back in their rooms. They can't have dinner. They can't be out in the halls. They have to stay in their rooms, and that was making her pretty sad.
I can imagine.
I took her to dialysis today, and then we went for lunch. We didn't go for lunch, but I mean, I stopped at Ross Park in Norton Shores, and it was just the two of us. But I got a couple sandwiches that she likes, and I mean, you know, it was as good as I could do. So she got lunch with me out of the place, but it's pretty sad. I mean, if you could imagine being locked in a room. Yeah.
Well, send our love to her.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel terrible for her. I mean, if I could do anything, I would do it, but I can't.
So before we get started here, I just want to let everybody know we have courts and public safety first, with Commissioner Snyder. And then we'll go into Ways and Means with Commissioner Skolnick. And then we'll go to Human Services with Commissioner Nash.
My clock on the wall says 3:30. So if that in fact is the case, I will call the Courts and Public Safety Committee of the Student County Board of Commissioners for August 6, 2020. Order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Hubby Wright.
Here.
Chairman Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Laring.
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Here.
Mr.
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkes. Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
8 present.
Thank you very much. And if you could raise the agenda on. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Support.
Questions or comments?
Is this for the minutes or the agenda? Can't hear you. It's for approval of the minutes.
For the minutes.
Okay.
I thought that's what the motion was.
I couldn't hear that part of the motion.
No comments or correction?
No.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. The next item is public comment on an agenda item. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to comment on an agenda item?
This is Joan Rapp from Eggleston Township, and I'm not sure if I'm at the right meeting.
You're not.
Okay. I would excuse.
All right, it appears we have no public comment for this particular subject, so we will move on to item 5, items for consideration. May I have a motion?
So move. Support. Support.
The motion is to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Muskegon, City of Muskegon Heights, and the County of Muskegon for the fiscal year 20 Justice Assistant Award program and authorize the board chair to sign the memorandum. Are there any?
Mr. Chair, maybe it would be a good idea if the sheriff would explain the city of Muskegon and the Muskegon Heights benefiting and the county is simply as a go through or pass through.
That would be good.
I mean, he's done it in the past, but it's good for everyone to know.
Sheriff, are you available?
Hello, this is Under Sheriff Sanford. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right. So this is, as Commissioner Mahoney stated, this is a grant that we've had several years. And the reason that we are even involved, obviously you see we don't gain anything financially for it. Very little work for us. We basically just have to sign the memorandum of understanding. But the money that the city of Muskegon receives and the city of Muskegon Heights receives, the only way that they can get this money is for this agreement because of the jail. Because the jail is under the purview of the county and the sheriff's office, it creates what they call a desperate funding situation. So our only involvement is just that we agree to have our name on the grant so that they can obtain the funding for the purposes that they use it for.
Thank you very much for the explanation. Is there any question? Any further comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
I had a question. I'm sorry, I was on mute. I am wondering if they do use it for what is grant? Is it just?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
No, me neither.
I am wondering what the purpose of the grant.
Okay, I couldn't unmute myself, so here we go. Are you ready? Commissioner Hovey Wright,
What?
for the roll call on 31.
Okay, I think we have some questions to answer first. I think Mr. Laring was asking a question.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead with the commissioner with the question, if you would, please.
Okay, the question is, what is the money for? Okay, I believe I can't hear the question. It's what is the money used for? The grant itself it's through the Department of Justice, so the specifics that they use it for, I'm not sure in the Muskegon Heights area. The city of Muskegon uses it for their local enforcement ordinances. And I think because it has law enforcement action attached to it for those areas, that's why the jail has to be part of the agreement as well.
I can only comment that in the past, we've had that same comment, and there's actually the same explanation with respect to the award for Muskegon Heights as well. Commissioner Laring, is that satisfactory? Any further comments for anybody?
Thank you.
All right, let's go to a roll call.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
I couldn't hear you, Commissioner Laring.
Can you hear me? Yeah, sorry.
He's heard it, yes.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Yes.
9 yes.
Commissioner Snyder, you're muted.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. The motion did carry. I forgot to click in.
He's muted again.
Right?
I thought I had clicked in. The motion did carry.
Yes.
Then I moved on to old business. Is there any old business? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business? Seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. Anyone in the public have any comments on an agenda item or on any matter before this committee?
I do not see any hands.
Thank you. Seeing none, we'll move on to final board comment. Anyone on the board have a final comment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Surely.
I just wanted to inform everybody the scheduled August Public Works meeting that was supposed to be live will not be live. It will be on Zoom due to the governor's new restraints on COVID.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Foster. Anyone else with a final board comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Support.
Support.
All in favor say yes.
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 Anyone opposed say no. The motion passes and we are adjourned.
I'll just wait a second for them to stop recording and start a new recording. Kathy, you ready?
Yes.
Kathy, you're going to put the Ways and Means agenda up. I have a copy in front of me, but no, probably most people do not.
Yes, Kristen's working on that.
Okay. Kathy, is that agenda the normal size, or have I somehow enlarged the size on my screen?
It's enlarged.
Okay. All right. We'll call the August 6th, 2020 Ways and Means Committee to order. And Kathy, if you take the roll, please.
Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Harvey Wright.
Here.
Chairman Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Waring.
Here.
I'm not able to hear Commissioner Waring.
Just right here.
Commissioner Mahoney.
You're muted, Ken.
All right, I am here.
Commissioner Nash.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Here.
And Commissioner Skolnick.
Here. Okay.
9.
Thank you. We've got a quorum. The first item is the approval of the minutes of the July 21st, 2020 meeting, and I would entertain a motion to make that approval.
So
So I
moved.
so move. Snyder.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion. It's been supported. Are there any comments or corrections on the minutes?
I
I don't see anybody, so we'll have a roll call on that too, Kathy, please.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes, okay.
9 yes.
Thank you. The minutes are approved. The next item is public comment on an agenda item. I think there are 26 people on this call. If anyone would like to make a comment on something that's on the agenda, now is your opportunity. I'm looking.
I don't see anybody.
I don't see anybody either. All right. Did somebody say something? No. Okay. We'll move on to items for consideration. The first item is WM20/08-60. It's to approve payment of the accounts payable of $21,285,886.24, covering the period of July 4th, 2020 through July 3rd, 2020, for checks, P-cards, and electronic fund transfer payments, covering the period June 1st, 2020 through 30th, 2020, as presented by the county clerk.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, are there any questions? Beth is here.
So I have a comment. Again, I'm going to oppose this motion because there's no ability to isolate these payments, discuss them individually. I would like all payments over $100,000 to be isolated so we can debate them individually.
Okay, we'll vote on this then. Kathy, roll call, please.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes. Sorry, yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay, that motion passes. The next item is WM20/08-61, to approve the extension of the contract with MGT of America Incorporated for the preparation of the fiscal year 2021 indirect cost allocation plan and the IT rate study for $18,000 and $10,800 respectively, and to further authorize issuing requests for proposals for future years upon the completion of the fiscal year 2021 plan.
So Snyder seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and it's been supported. Kathy, did you figure out who did what?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on that?
Bob, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
What is indirect allocation plan and rate study? What do those do?
This is Beth Dick, Director of Finance. Make sure I did unmute myself, yes. What these are doing is, for the indirect cost plan is basically accumulates the costs for a year of these, what we call the central service functions within the county. And those are things such as accounting, human resources, the treasurer's office, and administration, those types of departments, their costs, and then they're all pulled together in an analysis that then allocates the costs to the various other departments. Those costs are mainly accumulated within the general fund, but those departments service all other departments within the county. Some of them have grant funding that can be used to reimburse or pay or offset those costs, and others are such as enterprise funds. Those costs can be charged to those enterprise funds where the revenues that they bring in can help pay for them. So for the indirect cost plan, it's a method of basically recouping some of the costs associated with those central service functions. The IT rate study is more or less the same thing, but for the IT department, their operations, as well as all of the costs associated with our IT infrastructure. So because the IT department is outside of the general fund now, it's its own fund, that's done as a separate study, and then the indirect cost plan is done for basically all of those other central service functions I mentioned.
Can I ask one other question? Does this separate out the things that would be considered normal chargebacks from things that would be unusual chargebacks, and do they get charged individually for the unusual charges?
Guess I'm not sure what would be considered normal and unusual. The cost plan itself, the IT rate study does break down the various components of IT operations into their staff and those operational costs versus things like our infrastructure, and it breaks it down very specifically. The indirect cost plan is basically taking, for example, the cost of the accounting department and breaking that down between purchasing, general ledger, and what used to be payroll, part of HR, so it would be part of their allocation. So it breaks it down that way. I'm not sure unusual versus normal.
You know what, I will ask you, I'll try and figure out exactly how to word that, and I'll get with you later on it and ask.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Kathy, roll call, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Hughes?
Yes.
Commissioner Laring?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Yes.
Commissioner Nash?
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay. We can hear you, Kathy. It'd be nice if we could see you.
Saving the video so it runs easily.
Okay. The next item is WM 20/08-62 to waive procurement level quotes and enter into a contract with Everstream for the county's internet services. Telesystem for the county's voice over internet protocol phone services, and Granite for the county analog phone services. In the packet for this, there was an explanation, and
So moved. Support.
all right, we've got the motion's been supported, or there was a motion and it's been supported. Is Ivan on the phone?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
I don't know if to talk about this. Beth, are you?
No, Mr. Phillips will.
Okay.
Is there a question?
Well, you just want to go over it real quickly, just so everybody understands what we're doing here.
Actually, Mark Hanson on the call also, and he did all the backbone work on this. I want to let him go ahead and give you a brief overview. Mark,
Okay.
please.
Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Mark Hanson, IT manager for Muskegon County. We have been looking at providing a redundant internet connection for the county, so that we had 2 points of contact to the internet in case one went down, we'd be able to continue doing business. We got quotes from several companies on that. The best deal on that, with the quotes attached to this, was from Everstream. It will allow us to increase our internet bandwidth from 120 megs to 1,000 megs, and as well as give us 2 points of contact to the internet. Along with that, our IP phones run over our internet connection. So we looked at telephone providers at the same time, since we would be changing our internet provider, and we were able to find 2 phone companies, Telesystems to do our IP phones, and Granite to do our analog phones, because we still do have some analog phones out there in quite a few locations. And they were able to give us some pretty good pricing. We've got some comparisons with our existing prices out there. And the net balance of this is it would increase our internet service, keep us with the same level of telephone service, and save us projected up around $40,000 or more annually on our current costs.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Yeah. Can you tell me the advantages to waiving the procurement level quotes and what that actually means?
Sure. You know, we started looking at this, and we were looking at internet, and the internet falls underneath the normal $25,000 limit we're required to go out and get the procurement level quotes. Once we determined that the best course of action for us was to switch completely away from our current internet provider to a separate provider, that also then brought in the telephones. The telephones get over that $25,000 limit due to the average monthly costs. But because the two need to work together and the systems are somewhat integrated, we were able to get different quotes, and we were hoping to not have to go out just for open bid on that because of some of the compatibility issues we may run into. I'm not sure if Beth can give any other feedback on the differences between the quote levels.
Yes, so doing a procurement level quote is a little bit more involved than what they did, but they did actually do quite a bit of work to gather these 3 quotes. But it would require a little bit more involvement with our purchasing office to put together detailed specs and actually, putting it out there to get responses. It appeared based on the information that was provided by the legwork that Mark Hansen did on this, that they did a lot of that really on their own, that it didn't really need to be, the purchasing office didn't need to get involved in that process. That's the kind of the difference between a procurement level quote versus them just going and getting the quotes on their own. So it would have been more involved and took more time if we would have actually done the procurement level quote process, but it appeared that they did quite a bit of work on their own, so that's the difference.
Is there any, so one more follow-up question, with the going with this non-procurement level, is there familiar relationship documentation that's going to proceed with this?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of your question.
I am wondering if there's a familial relationship agreement or documentation with this procurement process being handled this way, or actually the procurement department not being part of this contractual, the contractors we're searching, are they still going to provide some relationship agreements for documentation?
Are they providing actual contracts or agreements? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm wondering, so a familial agreement, I'm wondering if there's any connection to these contractors or service providers that have a familial relationship with the department.
I would defer to the IT department on that. I'm not familiar with if there is.
I I can say no on my end. Mark, how about you?
To my knowledge, there's no connection between any of these vendors and anyone in the IT department.
Thank you.
Okay, Kathy, roll call, please. Oh, there you are.
Commissioner Wilkins,
We're listening. Can you hear?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
thank you. Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, that motion passes. The final motion is WM 20/08-63 to approve moving Matt Wolf, Information Systems Tech 2, position number X43807 from step 1, $21.954 per hour to step 2, $22.982 per hour in pay grade NX-00210, $21.954 to $27.635 per hour, effective June 1st, 2020.
So moved. Support.
Okay, got a motion, it's been supported. IT department can explain this. Ivan, I'm not sure, is this yours?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yeah, this actually should have been part of the original motion when I brought it to the board. It was my omission. It was my intention to go ahead and put Matt Wolf in at step 2. I didn't mention any steps in the original motion. I probably should have. If I was going to bring my 3 tier 1 people into that tier 2 position, I didn't mention any step that I was going to be putting them in. Matt Wolf has worked longer than the other 2 have at the county, and certainly deserves recognition and an additional step.
okay. So this is an omission, he's just moving up 1 step, and he should have done that in the first, when you made the original motion. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, Kathy?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes, Chairman Hughes,
Susie, did you vote? Kathy, she might have lost her connection. That happens occasionally.
I'll come back to her. Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes, and Commissioner Skolnick.
Yes.
That would be 8 yes.
Okay. I don't know, Chairman Hughes, a little box around her name lit up, which means she was there, but I couldn't hear anything, and she's not muted. So, okay. The next item is old business. Is there any old business that anyone would like to bring? Marcia?
Yes, I do. To follow up with the racism resolution, declaring racism as a health crisis, I noted, I think we need to do something. That's a policy, but we need to make it, we need to evaluate our systems, et cetera, and follow up. And the governor just put out some policies at the state level, which include implicit bias training of staff on a regular basis, current and future staff. And so I would ask the administration to follow up on that, and we'll see what comes out of it.
Okay, Mark.
It's basically taking the policy and moving it into action.
Yeah, Chairman, this is Mark Eisenbarth. In that document, we talked about Social Justice Commission and being a part of them. We have checked with them, and they have not met because of COVID. So that's one avenue of it. And then I can have Kristen Wade provide the other training that we currently do. And if board sees that we need to do more or different topics, we can discuss with them too. But I can have a report generated by Mrs. Wade to show what we're currently doing.
Okay.
All right. Any other old business?
Commissioner Scobie.
Yes.
I would make a recommendation that the administrator connect with the governor to see how that executive order would be able to connect with the local municipalities to see how we could somehow integrate or develop a partnership in what they're trying to do with the state, with the local county.
You know, I heard about that. It was strictly an executive order, and I think she formed some kind of a commission that involved the lieutenant governor, and I think what we need to do is see what they're doing and see how that relates to us. I don't know that they've taken any like positive or concrete action on it yet.
Right, that was executive directive.
Yeah.
2020-9 and executive order 162 to 163. So yes, we can look into that.
This is Commissioner Hughes. I have a comment.
Yes.
I'd like to vote yes on the last one. I had a little altercation with my cords, but but I'm back on and all plugged in now. I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
I'm taking you one.
It just barely.
Okay, thank you, Susan. All right, we're moving on. Is there any new business to be brought before the Ways and Means Committee? And I don't see any public comment. Anybody who's on this call, there's 48 people on the call. If anybody would like to make a comment on anything, we still have one more meeting after this. Human Services. I don't see anybody, so we'll move on. Final board comments. Anybody? I need a motion to adjourn. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. We have one more meeting.
Then we'll stop recording and start a new one. And when Kathy is ready, we'll. Kathy, you ready?
I'm ready as soon as Kristen's ready.
Looks like we're good to go, Commissioner Nash.
All right. At this time, we'll call the Muskegon County Human Services Committee meeting to order. But take a roll call.
Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Here.
Chairman Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Laring.
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Wilkins.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Nash.
Here.
9 present.
All right, we have a quorum. Next up is approval of minutes for July 7th, 2020.
So moved.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Mahoney, supported by Commissioner Harvey Wright. Any questions, discussion, corrections? Seeing none? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Was that one opposition? No? All right, that is approved. Next, we'll move to, is someone saying something? Okay. Next, we'll move to public comment on the agenda item. If anyone have any comments they would like to make on an agenda item?
I see
If you have a cell phone, you may. If you have a cell phone, you can unmute by dialing *6 to raise your hand or lower your hand, dial *9.
First one on the list is Pastor Tim Cross.
Pastor Cross.
Sir, how are you today?
Not too bad.
All right. I guess I come a little frustrated today. Last year, about a year ago, I believe it was Commissioner Laring started off and came to us and said with the senior millage, he said that they were looking at, for some nonprofit that wanted to do or could do some lawn service around the county under the senior millage. And I understand Commissioner Wilkins, that was something that was really on her heart. She wanted to see that done. And so we set up meetings with Kathy Moore. We liked that idea. We were part of that to get in there. It started with snow removal. So Commissioner Foster got involved with that, and we began to work with the commission and those to make that happen because we thought that was a priority of the commission. And so we worked on that about a year ago. We worked through all the stuff. Carla Benton was making phone calls to my office. We were working to make all of that happen. And it seemed like that was a priority to the commission. And then we had a very successful, I believe it was a successful launch. I mean, Kathy Moore wanted us to try to service 50 seniors, and we ended up servicing 78. And we could only do 50 lawn care with the money that we had, but we did all of that. And then we put in and we said, all right, we have to write up things. I don't have professional grant writers, but we put that together and for this next year. And then we found out last week what the recommendation was from the senior resources and how that came out. And, for the snow removal, we only got about 20% of what we requested. And I guess my question to the county commission, those here, do these numbers reflect your priorities? Because it seemed like last year the snow removal and the lawn care was a priority to you, but it doesn't seem like it's reflected in the recommendations that were made from the whatever committee put these, the senior millage, how that was going to be spent. And it was a little frustrating looking at as, AgeWell, which is a great organization, got about 92% of what they asked. Senior Resources, that I understand is administrating this and not supposed to be able to write grants, got $340-some thousand, and they got about 71% of what they asked. What we asked for with a successful program, we got about 30% of what we asked for that I thought was this commission's priority. And so that's a little bit frustrating, and we did everything. We thought we were doing what we were asked to do. We didn't come in and volunteer. I mean, we weren't looking for this. The commission came and asked us to do this, and so we did it. And I heard someone that they thought what we asked for the snow plowing, there was a whole lot of startup costs. This year we asked for $6,000 in startup costs, and all the rest was to service seniors in our community. So maybe I'm a little frustrated, but I'm a big boy. If those things aren't a priority anymore, I guess that's okay. But I guess if these numbers do not reflect the priorities of the commission, then maybe these numbers need to be changed, and maybe the commission needs to say, we want to see these programs funded, and we'll take your recommendations on the rest. But that was a little frustrating, and that's why I'm here today.
Your time is up.
Can I ask Kathy Moore on the line?
Yes, I am on the line.
Hi, Kathy. I was just wondering, with the process that we use, was there an application sent to Pastor Cross in the church?
This is part of the RFP request for proposals, and I would have to defer that to Senior Resources, who is the grants administrator.
Okay.
This is Amy Florio from Senior Resources.
Yes.
Was your question, did we send them a proposal?
Were they sent the information to be able to submit a proposal?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is that the board decided not to move that proposal forward.
Yeah, the Muskegon County Senior Millage Activities Committee makes the recommendations to this committee on awards for the millage dollars, for the senior millage dollars. So they went forward with a recommendation that wasn't the full amount.
Okay.
Commissioner Nash, this is still public comment. We normally don't try and answer this. I think if we have problems with the millage request or millage funding, we should probably table those, but let the public go ahead and make their comments.
Well, this is going to come up in discussion. I just wanted to get some clarity to make sure everybody was, because I was looking at the policy and we did not have any, I wanted to make sure we had followed our steps, because we do have many steps.
Yes.
And so this is on the discussion board, come to that section.
Right.
And it there.
Right, we'll discuss it there.
Yeah. Any other public comment on the agenda item?
Yes, this is Joan Rapp from Eggleston Township. I would beseech this commission to consider sending this service of administering the grant out for bids. When a company gets almost $250,000, obviously there's not enough money left to fund all the programs that actually reach the senior citizens, which is what these funds are for. There are many senior citizens in the rural communities that get very limited services, and I don't believe that they're being served well by $250,000 or nearly $250,000 coming off the top before any of these viable, such as the snow removal and the leaf removal, which some of our residents had to take advantage of, and now that may not get that service either. We can do better. I would even volunteer to be on a steering committee to find a way to get more of this money to the seniors instead of administration costs. Thank you.
Anyone else with public comment?
Yes, Chairman Nash, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, who are we speaking with?
This is Steve Warmington, 1524 Lakeshore Drive in Muskegon, and a senior citizen. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. You know, when this issue, when this ballot proposal came up, I looked at it with interest because it was being proposed as for services for our seniors, but most importantly, our seniors who were in need. And now after 2 years of the program being run, and I asked for and received a copy of what the budget is, and to be perfectly frank with you, I see all sorts of red flags that make me wonder if the taxpayers of Muskegon County are getting the best value for their tax dollars towards helping our seniors in need. And as I study the proposed grants, I really would like to request that you table these recommendations and as a committee of the whole, review how this program is being administered after 2 years. I'm not questioning Senior Resources Administration, but I'm thinking this is a time that we can pause and take a look and see where can we make improvements if improvements are needed. One of the red flags that I see is should the administrator of the millage and services also be allowed to apply for grant program or grants for the program funding? Another one, what oversight are you as our elected officials doing, or are you accepting the findings of an outside agency? Number 3 red flag, why is the millage funding job positions with money meant for senior services? My fourth red flag, 59% of the proposed budget is allocated to agencies that provide services to multi-counties. Have we, as a county, you, our elected officials, verified that the infusion of Muskegon County taxpayer money has not, in fact, increased services to these other counties because we are self-funding many of our services? Number 5, why does the advisory board only require 2 people to be over the age of 60? After all, it is a millage for seniors. It seems they would have a more significant role in the advisory board. Do we really need 3 commissioners on the advisory board instead of 1? Yep.
Your 2 minutes is up.
Well, okay. That's it. But most importantly, I'm going to tell you it needs to be tabled because of COVID-19, because 15% of the proposed budget are for activities for seniors that have not been available to them for nearly 5 months, nor does it appear that they will have access to those programs for months to come.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else?
Yes. My name is Christopher Cross. I am the administrator of the snow removal and leaf program for seniors. And just a little sort of frustrated like we are about the proposed budgets. We had requested $86,000 for the snow removal portion, with only $6,000 that being additional startup to be more efficient so we can hit more seniors quicker right after a snowstorm. And to my understanding, one of the reasons why our budget was decreased all the way down to $15,000 was because the note only said startup funds. Just sort of confused why. It was very clear. I double checked the proposal that we sent forth, and it was very clear that $80,000 was for the service, only $6,000 for the startup cost. With that $15,000, it's going to be very difficult to serve many seniors at all. There's many of the seniors that we've served this last year that are disabled, that most snow plow companies will not go much over the extra step, but we'll not only plow the driveway, but clear the sidewalks, clear the ramps. We have a lot of seniors that will not be able to get that service anymore. And when speaking with AgeWell Services, they mentioned that they can't deliver some of their meals if there's a lot of snow covering the driveway or the sidewalks, and because of dangers. And we will not be able to help them reach those seniors with the need for that food, even with only $15,000. It's just very unrealistic to be able to do hardly anything for the county. And it's really hard to choose between all these seniors that desperately need this program. Every single senior that we serve is low income. We serve a lot in the minority community, more than the average of the population of the African Americans. We serve a higher percentage, as well as many low income and many disabled seniors. And it's going to be very difficult with these funds to pick and choose who we serve when all of them desperately need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to have a comment?
Commissioner, I don't see any other hands up at this time.
No other hand. All right, since we have no one else, we will move on to items for consideration. First item for consideration is HS 2008-16 to extend the Senior Millage Grants Administration Services contract with Senior Resources of West Michigan through December 31st, 2020.
So moved. Marcia.
Ms. Moore, you want to jump in on this and explain the purpose of this?
Yes, Commissioner, thank you. The current grant expires September 30th. Pre-COVID crisis in Muskegon, we had met, or I had met with the chair and vice chair of the Senior Activities Committee to begin planning for the next request for a proposal or request for qualification phase of the grants administrator. Then COVID-19 hit, and we didn't continue those conversations. So last month, I called the chair of the Senior Activities Committee, and I asked if we could actually postpone all of the grants until we can clarify some of the guidelines. That was, I felt like that was taken a little bit out of context, like I was overstepping my authority or position, but it's really just to allow us more time to step back and clarify, what it is we want to see moving forward, and then fashion the RFP and the contracts accordingly.
Understandable. So this effort to extend this contract is basically just to give you enough time to be able to extend the RFP so that we can look at proposals to administer this grant.
Right, and to give all of us enough time to get sufficient input and just do the best thing, what's right, to do what's right, but get it in writing.
Commissioner Nash, I have a question.
Go right ahead, Commissioner Hughes.
Kathy, I guess this question is kind of for Kathy. In the process of moving forward, if we were to extend this out until the end of the year, in that time, could you figure out if you could assume those responsibilities that Senior Resources is doing now with the money that we pay them to do them?
I don't even need time for that. I could not do that, but I think we could explore all options. But it's going to have to be just, it can't just be me. And then, full transparency. I am the designated liaison